To Mrs. Seville, England, August 5th. You will rejoice to hear that no disaster has accompanied my enterprise, which you have regarded with such evil forebodings. I am going to unexplored regions, to the land of mist and snow, but I shall kill no albatross. Therefore, do not be alarmed for my safety, or if I should return to you as woeful as the ancient mariner. You will smile at my illusion. But I will disclose a secret. There is something at work in my soul which I do not understand. I am practically industrious, but besides this, there is a love for the marvelous intertwined in all my projects. It hurries me out of the common pathways of man, even to the wild sea and unvisited regions which I am about to explore. Be assured that, for my own sake as well as yours, I shall not rashly encounter danger. I shall be calm, persevering, and prudent. But success shall crown my endeavors. Wherefore not? Thus far I have gone, tracing a secure way over the pathless seas, the very stars themselves being witness to my triumph. Why not still proceed over the untamed element? What can stop the determined will of man? I write a few lines in haste to say that I am safe and well advanced on my voyage. Our situation is somewhat dangerous, especially as we are nearly surrounded by ice, which closes in the ship on all sides, scarcely leaving her the sea room in which she floats. We accordingly lay to, and hope that some change will take place in the atmosphere and weather. However, Margaret, so strange an accident has happened that I cannot forbear recording it.
Captain! Here is our captain! He will not allow you to perish in open sea!
Before I come on board your vessel, would you have the kindness to inform me whither you are bound?
We are on a voyage of discovery towards the Northern Pole.
I consent to come on board.
Good heavens, his limbs are nearly frozen. I never saw a man in so wretched a condition.
Bring him inside. By slow degrees he shall recover. If you please, sir, why have you come so far upon the ice in so strange a vessel?
To seek one who fled from me.
And did the demon you pursue travel in the same fashion?
Yes.
Then I fancy we have seen him. For the day before we picked you up, we saw some dogs drawing a sledge with a man in it across the ice.
The route. What route has the demon pursued?
I cannot say. We perceived a low carriage fixed on a sledge and drawn by dogs pass on towards the north at a distance of half a mile. A being which had the shape of a man, but apparently of gigantic stature sat there. We watched the rapid progress of the traveler with our telescopes until he was lost among the distant inequalities of the ice.
I have doubtless excited your curiosity, but you are too polite to make inquiries.
Certainly. It would indeed be impertinent to me to trouble you with any inquisitiveness of mine.
And yet you rescued me from a perilous situation. You have benevolently restored me to life.
Gladly. I too would sacrifice my fortune, my existence, my every hope to the furtherance of my enterprise. You can see, we are surrounded by mountains of ice that admit no escape and threaten every moment to crush my vessel. There is something terribly appalling in our situation. Yet, my hopes do not desert me.
Unhappy man. Do you share my madness? Hear me. Let me reveal my tale, and you will dash the cup from your lips. You may easily perceive, Captain Walton, that I have suffered unparalleled misfortunes. Were we among the tamer scenes of nature, I might fear to encounter your unbelief. But many things will appear possible in these wild and mysterious regions.
I'm gratified by the offered communication, yet I could not endure that you should renew your grief by a recital of your misfortunes.
I thank you for your sympathy, but it is useless. My fate is nearly fulfilled. I wait but for one event, and then I shall repose in peace. I understand your feeling, but you are mistaken, my friend. Nothing can alter my destiny. Listen to my history, and you will perceive how irrevocably it is determined. I am by birth a Genovese, and my family is one of the most distinguished of that republic. My mother's tender caresses and my father's smile are among my first recollections. I was their plaything and their idol, and something better, their child, the innocent and helpless creature bestowed on them by heaven. With this deep consciousness of what they owed toward the being to which they had given life, they fulfilled their duties toward me. Their benevolent dispositions often made them enter the cottages of the poor. It was on one of their walks that my mother encountered a peasant distributing a scanty meal to 5 hungry babes.
This child appears a different song. She is very fair, her eyes cloudless, so expressive of sensibility and sweetness. Does she not seem capable of mistaken speech? Being heavens, she is not my child, but the daughter of a Milanese noblewoman. Her mother was German and died on leaving her birth. The infant was placed with us to nurse. We were better off then. I have really wanted to feel your charge to me. Fond of the sweet orphans, her presence is such a blessing to us. But it would be unfair to her to keep her in poverty and want when Providence affords her such powerful protection. I have a pretty message for you.
I, with childish seriousness, interpreted her words literally, and looked upon Elizabeth as mine. On the birth of a second son, my family fixed themselves firmly in Geneva, on the eastern shore of a lake rather more than a league from the city. No human being could have passed a happier childhood than myself.
Do you recall on what occasion Justine Lawrence entered our family? Probably you do not. Justine's mother could not endure her and treated her very ill. Victor's mother observed this, and when Justine was 12 years of age, prevailed upon her mother to allow her to live at our house. Thus received into our family, Justine learned the duties of a servant and the dignity of a human being. And here's the third child, little darling William.
The saintly soul of Elizabeth shone like a shrine-dedicated lamp in our peaceful home. Meanwhile, my friend Henry Clerval occupied himself, so to speak, with the moral relations of things. The son of a merchant of Geneva, he was a boy of singular talent and fancy. He loved enterprise, hardship, and even danger for its own sake. The busy stage of life, the virtues of heroes, and the actions of men were his theme. But natural philosophy is the genius that has regulated my fate.
Ah, Cornelius Agrippa. My dear Victor, do not waste your time upon this. It is sad trash.
When I returned, my first care was to procure the whole works of this author, and afterwards of Paracelsus and Albertus Magnus. I read and studied the wild fancies of these writers with delight. They appeared to me as treasures known to few besides myself. But here were books, and here were men who had penetrated deeper and knew more. I became their disciple. Under their guidance, I entered with the greatest diligence into the search of the philosopher's stone and the elixir of life. Wealth was an inferior object, but what glory would attend the discovery if I could banish disease from the human frame and render man invulnerable to death.
My children, my firmest hopes of future happiness were fixed on the prospect of your union. This expectation will now be the consolation of your father. Elizabeth, my love, you must supply my place to my younger children. Alas, I regret that I am taken from you. Happy as I have been, is it not hard to quit you all? But these are not thoughts forbidding me. I will endeavor to resign myself cheerfully to death, and will indulge a hope of meeting you in
another world.
Thus strangely are our souls constructed.
We had resolved that you should become a student at the University of Ingolstadt. I know it must appear to be sacrilege so soon to leave the repose of the house of mourning and to rush into the field of life.
My mother is dead. But we have still duties which we ought to perform. Yet I desire to see my sweet Elizabeth in some degree consoled.
I cannot persuade myself to say the word farewell.
I endeavored to persuade my father to permit me to accompany you and to become your fellow traveler, but in vain. He sees idleness and ruin in my aspirations and ambitions, and yours as well. Your father is a narrow-minded traitor. I think he believes he is the last effort made by the spirit of preservation to avert the storm hanging in the stars.
It is a strong effort in the spirit of good, but it is ineffectual. Destiny is too potent, and her immutable laws have decreed my utter and terrible destruction.
Have you really spent your time studying such nonsense?
Yes.
Every minute that you have spent on these books is entirely lost. You have burdened your memory with exploded systems and useless names. In what desert land have you lived where no one was kind enough to inform you that these fancies, which you have so greedily imbibed, are over 1,000 years old? I little expected in this enlightened and scientific age to find the disciple of Albertus Magnus or Paracelsus. My dear sir, you must begin your studies entirely.
I have a contempt for the uses of modern natural philosophy. It was very different when the masters of science saw immortality and power. And now the scene has changed. Am I required to exchange chimeras of boundless grandeur for realities of little worth?
The ancient teachers of this science promised impossibilities and performed nothing. The modern masters have indeed performed miracles. They penetrate into the recesses of nature and show how she works in her hiding places. They have discovered how the blood circulates and the nature of the air we breathe. They have acquired new and almost unlimited powers. They can command the thunders of heaven, mimic the earthquake, and even mock the invisible world with its own shadows.
And what of Paracelsus and Albertus Magnus?
These were men to whose indefatigable zeal modern philosophers were indebted for most of the foundation of their knowledge. The labors of men of genius, however, erroneously directed, scarcely ever fail in ultimately turning to the solid advantage of mankind.
So much has been done. More, far more will I achieve, treading in steps already marked. I will pioneer a new way, explore unknown powers, and unfold to the world the deepest mysteries of creation.
I am happy to have gained a disciple, and if your application equals your ability, I have no doubt of your success.
From this day, natural philosophy will become my sole occupation. One of the phenomena which peculiarly attracted my attention was the structure of the human frame, and indeed any animal endued with life. Whence did the principle of life proceed? In order to examine the cause of life, we must first have recourse to death. I became acquainted with the science of anatomy, but this was not sufficient. I must observe the natural decay and corruption of the human body. I was led to spend days and nights in vaults and charnel houses. I saw how the fine form of man was degraded. I beheld the corruption of death succeed to the blooming cheek of life. I saw how the worm inherited the wonders of the eye and brain. I paused, until from the midst of this darkness, a sudden light broke in upon me. Was it possible that among so many men of genius, I alone should discover so astonishing a secret? I had succeeded in discovering the cause of life. Nay, more, I became myself capable of bestowing animation on lifeless matter.
I have witnessed a most violent and terrible thunderstorm. It advanced from behind the mountains of Jura, and as I stood at the door, on a sudden I beheld a stream of fire issue from an old and beautiful oak. And so soon as the dazzling light vanished, the oak had disappeared, and nothing remained but a blasted stump. It was not splintered by the shock, but utterly reduced to thin ribbons of wood. I never beheld anything so utterly destroyed.
No one can conceive of the variety of feelings which bore me onwards like a hurricane in the first enthusiasms of success. Though I possessed the capacity of bestowing animation, yet to prepare a frame for the reception of it. All its intricacies of muscles, fibers, and veins still remained a work of inconceivable difficulty. I pursued nature to her hiding places. I dabbled among the unhallowed damps of the grave. I tortured the living animal to animate the lifeless clay. I collected bones from charnel houses and disturbed the tremendous secrets of the human frame. In a solitary chamber, at the top of the house, separated from all the other apartments by a gallery and a staircase, I kept my workshop of filthy creation.
My dearest Victor, do return to us. You'll find a cheerful home and friends who love you. Justine has just returned, and I assure you I love her tenderly. How pleased you would be to remark upon the improvement of our Ernest. He is now 16, and is desirous to be a true Swiss and enter into foreign service. But we cannot part with him, at least until his elder brother returns to us.
Our father is not pleased with the idea of a military career in a distant country, but I never had your powers of application. Study is an odious fetter. My time is better spent out in the open air, climbing the hills or rowing on the lake.
I fear he will become an idler unless we yield the point and permit him to enter on the profession which he has selected.
Your father's health is vigorous, and he asks but to see you.
I know that while you are pleased with yourself, you will think of us with affection, and we shall hear from you regularly. You must pardon me if I regard any interruption in your correspondence as a proof that your other duties are equally neglected.
And I must say also to you a few words of our little darling William. Oh, I wish you could see him. He is so very tall for his age, with sweet, laughing eyes and curling hair. And when he smiles, 2 dimples appear in his cheeks, which are rosy with health.
Little alteration, except the growth of our dear children, has taken place since you left us. My own trifling occupations take up my time and amuse me, and I am rewarded for any exertion by seeing none but happy, kind faces around me. I have written myself into better spirits, Victor. Adieu. Take care of yourself, and I entreat you, write. Elizabeth Lavenza.
A frantic impulse urged me forward. I lost all sensation but for this one pursuit. Every night I was oppressed by a fever. I became nervous to a painful degree, and I shunned my fellow creature as if I'd been guilty of a crime. My endeavors sustained me. My labors would soon end, and a new species would bless me as its creator. Many excellent natures would owe their being to me. No father could claim the gratitude of his child so completely as I should deserve theirs. It was on a dreary night in November that I first beheld the accomplishment of my toils.
proportioned, and his features are beautiful. Beautiful, great heavens, a more horrid contrast with his watery eyes, almost of the same color as the sockets. No mortal could support the horror of that countenance. With this I deprived myself of rest and health. I desired it with an ardor that far exceeded moderation. But now the beauty of the dream is vanished. Horror! Breathless horror and disgust!
Clerval! My dear Frankenstein, how glad I am to see you. How fortunate that you should be here at the very moment of my arrival. Now, you may easily view how great was the difficulty to persuade my father that not all necessary knowledge was comprised in the noble art of bookkeeping, but his affection for me at last overcame his dislike of learning. So he is permitted me to undertake a voyage of knowledge to the land of knowledge.
It gives me the greatest delight to see you, but tell me how you left my father, brothers, and Elizabeth.
Very well. Only a little uneasy that I hear from you so seldom. By the by, I mean to lecture you a bit upon their account myself.
Why, Master Clerval, here is the man who has outstripped us all. Aye, stare if you please, but it is nevertheless true. A youngster who believed in Cornelius Agrippa as firmly as the gospel has now set himself at the head of the university. Master Frankenstein is modest, an excellent quality in the young man. Young men should be diffident of themselves. You know, I myself was when young, but that wears off in a very short time.
My dear Frankenstein, I did not earlier remark how very ill you appear, so pale. You look as though you've been watching for several nights.
You have guessed right. I have lately been so deeply engaged in one occupation that I have not allowed myself sufficient rest, as you see. But I sincerely hope that all my employments are now at an end, and that I am at length free.
Dear Frankenstein, what, for heaven's sake, is the matter? Do not laugh in that manner. How ill you are! What is the cause of this?
Do not ask me, you can tell. Oh, save me, save me! Instead of being spent in study, has been consumed in my sick room. How shall I ever repay you?
You will repay me entirely if you do not discompose yourself. Your father and Elizabeth would be very happy to receive a letter from you in your own writing. You hardly know how ill you have been and are uneasy at your long silence.
Is that all? How could you think that my first thought would not fly towards those dear, dear friends whom I love and who are so deserving of my love?
If this is your present temper, you will perhaps be glad to see a letter from you. It is from your father, I believe.
I will write him instantly to relieve him from the anxiety he must feel.
My dear Victor, you have probably waited for a letter to fix the date of your return to us. And I was at first tempted to write only a few lines, merely mentioning the day on which I should expect you. But that would be a cruel kindness, and I dare not do it. What would be your surprise, my son, when you expected glad welcome, to behold tears and wretchedness? I, Elizabeth, and your two brothers went to walk, and then we discovered that William and Ernest, who had gone on before, were not to be found.
Have you seen my brother? Please, have you seen William?
We continued to search for him until night fell. About 5 in the morning, I discovered
Look,
Victor is now gone, and is doubtless the temptation that urged the murderer to the deed.
Come, dearest Victor. You alone can console Elizabeth. Your affectionate and afflicted father, Alphonse Frankenstein.
My dear Frankenstein, are you always to be unhappy? My dear friend, what has happened? I can offer you no consolation, my friend. Your disaster is irreparable. What do you intend to do?
To go instantly to Geneva. Come with me, Henry, to order the horses.
William, dear angel, this is thy funeral, this is thy dirge.
The wretch! The filthy demon to whom I've given life! What does he there? Could he be the murderer of my brother? Nothing in human shape could have destroyed the fair child. He is the murderer. Alas, I've turned loose into the world a depraved wretch!
Welcome, dearest Victor. If you would have come 3 months ago, you would have found us all joyous. Poor William. He was our darling and our pride.
How is Elizabeth?
She most of all requires consolation. She accused herself of having caused the death of my brother, and that made her very wretched. Since the murderer has been discovered...
The murderer discovered? How can that be? I saw him. He was free last night.
I do not know what you mean, but to us the discovery we have made completes our misery. No one would believe it at first. Even now, Elizabeth will not be convinced. Indeed, who would credit that Justine Moritz, who is so fond of all the family, could suddenly become so capable of so frightful a crime?
Justine Moritz. Poor girl. Is she the accused? But it is wrongful. No one believes it. Surely Ernest.
No one did at first, but several circumstances have come out that have almost forced conviction upon us. In her pocket was found this picture of our mother, which was judged to be the temptation of the murderer!
You're all mistaken. I know the murderer. Justine, poor good Justine, is innocent.
Good heavens, Papa, Victor says he knows who was the murderer of poor William.
We do also, unfortunately. For indeed, I had rather have been forever ignorant than have discovered so much depravity in one I valued so highly.
My dear father, you are mistaken. Justine is innocent.
If she is, God forbid that she should suffer as guilty. She is to be tried today, and I sincerely hope she will be acquitted.
Your arrival fills me with hope. You perhaps will find some way of justifying my poor, guiltless Justine. Alas, who is safe if she be convicted of crime?
She is innocent, my Elizabeth, and that shall be proved. Fear nothing, but be cheered by the assurance of her acquittal.
How kind you are. Everyone else believes in her guilt, and that made me wretched, for I knew it was impossible. But to see everyone else prejudiced in so deadly a manner rendered me hopeless.
Dearest girl, dry your tears. If she is, as you believe, innocent, rely on the justice of our laws.
God knows how entirely I am innocent. But I do not pretend my protestations should acquit me. I rest my innocence on a simple explanation of the facts. On the night of the murder, I spent the evening at the house of my aunt. On my return, at about 9 o'clock, I met a man who asked me if I had heard anything concerning the child who was lost. I was alarmed by this account and spent several hours of the night in looking for him. When the gates of Geneva were shut, I was forced to remain for several hours of the night in a barn. Towards morning, some steps disturbed me, and I awoke. Concerning the picture, I can give no account. I know how fatally this one circumstance weighs against me, but I have no power of explaining it. I believe that I have no enemy on earth, none surely so wicked as to destroy me so wantonly. Did the murderer put it there? I beg permission to have some witnesses examined concerning my testimony, and if their testimony shall not overweigh my supposed guilt, then I must be condemned, although I would pledge my salvation upon my innocence.
I desire permission to address the court. I am the companion of the unhappy child who was murdered, or rather his sister, for I have lived with his parents long before his birth. I am well acquainted with the accused, and I've lived in the same house with her for nearly 7 years. During all that period, she appeared to me the most benevolent of human creatures. She nursed Madame Frankenstein in her last illness with the greatest care. She was warmly attached to the child who is now dead and acted towards him as a mother. For my own part, I do not hesitate to say that I believe in her perfect innocence. She had no temptation to such an action. As to the bauble, on which the chief proof rests, if she had earnestly desired it, I should have willingly given it to her. So much I do esteem and value her.
My own anguish was extreme during the whole trial. The tortures of the accused did not equal mine. She was sustained by innocence. The fangs of remorse tore me and would not forgo their hold. The ballots were thrown. They were all black, and Justine was condemned.
Justine has already confessed her guilt. That evidence was hardly required in so glaring a case, but I am glad of it. And indeed, none of our judges like to condemn a criminal upon circumstantial evidence, be it ever so decisive.
Alas, I will go see her, although she is guilty. And you, Victor, shall accompany me. I cannot go alone. Oh, Justine, why did you rob me of my last consolation? I relied on your innocence.
And do you also believe that I am so very, very wicked?
Why do you kneel if you are innocent?
I am not one of your enemies.
Be assured, dear Justine, nothing can shake my confidence in you for a moment, aside your own confession.
I did confess, but I confessed a lie. I confessed that I might obtain absolution. God of heaven, forgive me. Ever since I was condemned, my confessor has threatened me until I began to believe that I was the monster he said I was. I had none to support me. What could I do? In an hour of evil, I subscribed to a lie. I thought with horror, Elizabeth, that you should think your Justine a creature capable of such a crime.
Oh, Justine, why did you confess? But do not mourn, dear girl. Do not fear. I will proclaim. I will prove your innocence. I will melt the stony hearts of your enemies by my tears. You shall not die!
You, my playfellow, my companion, my sister, perish on the scaffold. No. No, I could never survive so horrible a misfortune! I do not fear to die. That pang is past. God raises my weakness and gives me the courage to endure the worst. Dear sir, you are kind to visit me. You, I hope, do not believe that I am guilty?
No, Justine. He is as convinced of your innocence as I was. For even when he had heard that you had confessed, he did not credit it.
I truly thank him. In these last moments, I feel the sincerest gratitude towards those who think of me with kindness. I feel as though I could almost die in peace now that my innocence is acknowledged by you and Victor. I wish that I were to die with you. I cannot live in this world of misery. Sweet Lady Elizabeth.
On the morrow, Justine died. Thus I could not revoke the sentence passed upon my wretched victim. She perished on the scaffold as a murderess.
When I reflect on the death of Justine Moritz, I no longer see the world and its works as they before appeared to me. Before, I looked upon tales of vice and injustice as tales of ancient days or imaginary evils. Now misery has come home, and men appear to me as monsters thirsting for each other's blood. And yet I'm certainly unjust. Alas, Victor, when falsehood can look so like the truth, who can assure themselves of certain happiness? I feel as if I were walking on the edge of a precipice around which thousands are endeavoring to plunge me into the abyss. William and Justine were assassinated. And the murderer escapes. He walks the world free and perhaps respected. And yet, even if I were condemned to suffer on the scaffold for the same crimes, I would never trade places with such a wretch. My dear friend, you must calm yourself. There is an expression of revenge in your countenance that makes me tremble.
Sometimes I can cope with the sullen despair that overwhelmed me. But sometimes the whirlwind passions of my soul drove me to seek some relief from these intolerable sensations. It was during an access of this kind that I suddenly left my home, and bending my steps toward the near Alpine valley, saw the magnificence of savage and enduring scenes. Very winds whispered in soothing accents, and maternal nature bade me weep no more. We rest, but a dream has power to poison sleep. Wandering spirits, if indeed ye wander, allow me this faint happiness, or take me as your companion, away from the joys of life!
Devil, do you dare approach me? Begone, vile insect! Or rather stay, that I may trample you to dust. And oh, that I could, with the extinction of your miserable existence, restore those victims whom you have so diabolically murdered.
I expected this reception. All men hate the wretched. How then must I be hated, who am more miserable beyond all living things? You, my Creator, spurn me, thy creature to whom thou art bound. You purpose to kill me. How dare you sport thus with life?
Wretched devil, you reproach me with your creation. Come on then, that I may extinguish the spark which I so negligently bestowed.
Be calm! I entreat you to hear me before you give vent to your hatred of my devoted head. Have I not suffered enough that you seek to increase my misery? Remember that I am thy creature. I ought to be thy Adam, but I am rather the fallen angel whom thou drivest from joy for no misdeed. I was good. Misery made me a fiend.
Begone!
Make me happy, and I shall again be virtuous.
Begone! I will not hear you. There can be no community between you and me. We are enemies.
Oh, believe me, Frankenstein. I was benevolent. My soul glowed with humanity. Am I not alone? Miserably alone. You, my Creator, abhor me. What hope can I gather from your fellow creatures who owe me nothing? They spurn and hate me. Shall I not then hate them? I will keep no terms with my enemies. Listen to my tale. The guilty are allowed by human laws, bloody as they are, to speak in their own defense before they are accused. Listen to me, Frankenstein! You accuse me of murder, and yet you would, with a satisfied conscience, destroy your own creature. Oh, praise the eternal justice of man.
Why do you call to my remembrance circumstances of which I shudder to reflect? You have made me wretched beyond expression. Relieve me from the sight of your detested form.
Oh, thus I relieve thee, my Creator. Thus I take from thee a sight which you abhor. Still, thou canst listen to me and grant me thy compassion. Hear my tale. On you it rests whether I quit forever the neighborhood of man and lead a harmless life, or become the scourge of your fellow creatures and the author of your own ruin.
I was partly urged by curiosity, then by compassion. For the first time I felt what the duties of a creator towards his creature were. I have to render him happy. Tell your tale. I consent to listen.
It is with considerable difficulty that I remember the original era of my being. All the events appeared confused and indistinct. I was a helpless wretch. I knew and could distinguish nothing. But pain invaded me on all sides. I walked. I saw the place where I could receive rest. The past 3 days, these ramblings into that night, I discovered a small hut.
Be then his love accursed, since love or hate, to me alike it deals eternal woe. Nay, cursed be thou, since against his thy will chose freely what it now so justly rues. Which way I fly is hell, myself am hell, and in the lowest deep, a lower deep, still threatening to devour me, opens wide, to which the hell I suffer seems a heaven.
Felix.
These people possessed a method of communicating their feelings to one another by use of articulate sounds. This was indeed a godlike science. I learned and applied the words fire, milk, bread, wood. I learned also the names of the cottagers themselves. The youth and his companion, each of them had several names, but the old woman only had one, which was Mother. The girl was called Sister, or Agatha, and the youth, Felix, Brother, or Son. I contemplated the virtues of these cottagers and persuaded myself that they would overlook my personal deformity. I formed in my imagination 1,000 pictures of presenting myself to them. I imagined that they would be disgusted, until by my gentle demeanor I should first win their favor, and afterwards their love. Pardon this intrusion. I am a traveler in want of a little rest. You would greatly oblige me if you would allow me to remain a few minutes before the fire.
Enter, and I shall try in what manner I can to relieve you of your wants, but unfortunately my children are from home, and as I am blind, I shall find it difficult to procure food for you.
Oh, do not trouble yourself, my kind host. It is warmth and rest only that I need.
By your language, stranger, I suppose you are my countrymen? Are you French?
No, but I was raised and educated by a French family and understand that language only. I go now to claim the protection of some friends whom I sincerely love and of whose favor I have some hopes.
Are they Germans?
No, they are French, but let us change the subject. I am a deserted creature and have no friend or relation upon the earth. These amiable people to whom I go have never seen me and know little of me. I am full of fears, for if I fail there, I am an outcast in the world forever.
Do not despair. To be friendless is indeed to be unfortunate. The hearts of men are full of brotherly love. Therefore rely on your hopes, and if these friends are good, do not despair.
Oh, they are kind. They are the most excellent creatures in the world. But unfortunately, they are prejudiced against me. I have good dispositions. My life has been hitherto harmless and in some degree beneficial. But a fatal prejudice clouds their eyes. And where they ought to see a kind friend, they behold only a detestable monster.
That is indeed unfortunate. But if you really are blameless, could you not undeceive them?
I am about to undertake that task, and it is on that account that I feel so many overwhelming terrors. I tenderly love these friends. I have been for many months in the habits of daily kindness towards them. But they believe I wish to injure them, and it is that prejudice which I wish to overcome.
Where do these friends reside?
Near this spot.
If you would unreservedly confide in me the particulars of your tale, I may be of use in undeceiving them. I am blind and cannot judge of your countenance, but there is something in your words that persuades me you are sincere. I am poor, but it would afford me true pleasure to be in any way serviceable to a human creature.
Oh, excellent woman! I thank you and accept your generous offer. You raised me from the dust by this kindness, and I trust that by your aid I shall not be driven from the sympathy of your fellow creatures.
Turn to the fire, the sun denies you warmth in this bleak weather.
Oh, how can I thank you, my best and only benefactor? Your present humanity assures me of success with those friends whom I am on the point of meeting.
May I know the names and the residences of these friends?
Now is the time. Save and protect me. You and your family are the friends whom I seek. Do not you desert me in the hour of trial.
Great hands, who are you?
Curse, Creator! Why do I live? Although I possess the capacity for bestowing animation, yet to prepare a frame for the reception of it with all its intricacies of fibers, muscles, and veins still remained a work of inconceivable difficulty. I doubted at first whether I should attempt the creation of a being like myself, or one of simpler organization. But my imagination was too much exalted by my first success to doubt of my ability to give life to an animal as complex and wonderful as man. This is... It is... your journal of the 4 months preceding my creation. Victor Frankenstein. Cursed Creator! Hateful day when I received life! Why did you create a monster so hideous that even you turned from me in disgust?
Do you not consider that you will be obliged to pay 3 months' rent and to lose the produce of your garden? I do not wish to take any unfair advantage, and I beg, therefore, that you will take some days to consider your determination.
It is utterly useless. My family can no longer inhabit your cottage. My mother's life is in the greatest danger, owing to the dreadful circumstance that I related. Do not try to reason with me anymore. Take possession of your tenement and let me fly from this place.
I never saw any of the Lacey family more. and friend. Oh, you must come with me.
Hideous monster, let me go! My papa is a cynic. He is Mr. Frankenstein. He will punish you. You dare not keep me.
Frankenstein, you belong then to my enemy, to whom I swore eternal revenge. You will be my first victim. I too can create desolation. My enemy is not invulnerable. This death will bring despair to him. And 1,000 other miseries shall destroy him. Awake, fairest, thy lover is near. For many months I haunted the spot where these scenes had taken place. At length I wandered toward these mountains, consumed by a burning passion for which you alone can gratify. I am alone. Man will not associate with me. But one as hideous as myself would not deny yourself to me. You must create a female for me with whom I can live. Oh, this you alone can do. And I demand it of you as a right.
I do refuse it. You may render me the most miserable of men, but you will never make me base in my own eyes. Should I create another like yourself? Your joint wickedness might desolate the world.
Be gone! You are in the wrong. I am malicious because I am miserable. I cannot inspire love. I will cause fear. I will not finish until I desolate your heart, so that you shall curse the hour of your birth. I intended to do so. This passion is detrimental to you. What I ask of you is reasonable. I demand a creature of another sex, but as hideous as myself. The gratification is small, but it shall content me. Yes, it is true. We shall be monsters, cut off from all the world, but on that account we shall be more attached to one another. Oh, my Creator, make me happy. Let me feel gratitude towards you for one and
I cannot think of the possible consequences of my consent, but I feel there is some justice in your argument.
the picture I present to you is peaceful and human. Pitiless as you have been towards me, I now see compassion in your eyes.
How can you, who long for the love of man, persevere in his exile? You will return and again seek their kindness and meet with their detestation. Your evil passions will be renewed and you will have a companion to aid you in the task of destruction. Cease to argue the point. This may not be, for I cannot consent.
How inconstant are your feelings? But a moment ago you were moved by my representations. Why do you again harden yourself to my complaints?
I have no right to withhold from him the small portion of happiness which is yet within my power to bestow. You swear to be harmless, but have you not already shown a degree of malice which should reasonably make me distrust you?
How is this? I must not be trifled with, and I demand an answer.
I consent to your demand. On your solemn oath to quit Europe forever, as soon as I shall deliver into your hands a female who will accompany you in your exile.
Oh, I swear by the blue sky in heaven that if you grant my prayer, you shall never behold me again. Depart to your home and commence your labors. I shall watch their progress with unutterable anxiety. And if you're not, that when you are ready, I shall appear.
I may again devote several months to profound study. I have heard of some discoveries that have been made by an English philosopher.
Then obtain our father's consent to go to England. Your health seems much restored.
He seeks to eradicate what remains of the melancholy that we experience, which now and then returns with a devouring blackness.
It is in those moments that I seek refuge in perfect solitude. I pass this whole day away alone, on the lake, in a little boat, and on my return, I make the salutations of my friends with a readier smile.
I am happy to remark, my dear son, that you have resumed your former pleasures and seem to be returning to yourself. And yet you still avoid our society. Yesterday an idea struck me. I have always looked forward to your marriage with our dear Elizabeth, as you were attached to each other from your earliest infancy. But you perhaps have met with another whom you may love.
My dear father, reassure yourself. I love Elizabeth tenderly. My future expectations are entirely bound up in the hope of our union.
Victor, do not suppose I wish to dictate happiness to you. Interpret my words with candor and answer me with sincerity.
I wish to visit England first. After so long a period of an absorbing melancholy, I take pleasure in the idea of such a journey, and hope that change of scene and varied amusement will restore me entirely to myself.
It fills me with disquiet. The idea of you suffering away from me, the inmost of misery and grief. I have friends at Clerval to meet you in Strasbourg. And yet, a man is blind to 1,000 minute circumstances which call forth a woman's attention. Hasten to return, Victor.
This is what it is to live. Now I enjoy existence, but you, my dear Frankenstein, wherefore are you sorrowful?
Alas, how great is the contrast between us. In truth, I am occupied by gloomy thoughts, and neither see the descent of the evening star, nor the golden sunrise reflected in the Rhine, haunted by a curse that shuts up every avenue to enjoyment.
I feel as though I've been transported to fairyland and enjoy happiness salutated by man. I have seen the most beautiful sights of our own country, but this place, Victor, pleases me more than all those wonders. There is a charm that makes the divine river that I never before saw equal. Oh, surely the spirit that inhabits this place has a soul more harmony with man than those who retire to the inaccessible peaks of our land.
Company is irksome to me. Do you enjoy yourself, and let this be our rendezvous. I may be absent a month or two, but do not interfere with my motions. I entreat you. Lead me to the solitude. When I return, I hope it will be with a lighter heart, more congenial to your own temper.
I'd rather be with you in your solitary rambles than with these Scotch people who do not know. Hasten to return, that I may again feel somewhat at home, which I cannot do in your absence.
I traversed the northern highlands and fixed on one of the remotest of the Orkneys as the scene of my labors. It was indeed a filthy process in which I was engaged. In my first experiment, a sort of enthusiastic frenzy had blinded me to the horror of my endeavors. But now I went to it in cold blood, and my heart often sickened at the work of my hands.
10,000 times more malignant than her mate. They might hate each other, she might quit him, and he again be alone, exasperated by the fresh provocation of being deserted by one of his own species. Even if they were to leave Europe and inhabit the deserts of the New World, one of the first results would be children and a race of devils propagated upon the earth. I see now the wickedness of my promise.
You have destroyed the work which you began. What is it that you intend? Do you dare to break your promise? I have endured toil and misery. I left Switzerland with you. I have dwelt in the heaths of England and the deserts of Scotland. I have endured incalculable fatigue and cold and hunger. Do you dare destroy my hopes?
Begone! I do break my promise. Never will I create another like yourself, equal in deformity and wickedness.
But remember that I have power. You think you're so miserable that I can make you so wretched that the light of day will be hateful to you. You are my creator, but I am your master. Obey!
The hour of my irresolution is past. I am firm, and your words will only exasperate my rage.
Shall each man find his wife, and each beast have his mate, and I be alone? You can blast my other passions, but revenge remains. Revenge! Henceforth dearer than light or food. I may die, but first you, my tyrant and tormentor, shall curse the sun that gazes on your misery. I am fearless, and therefore powerful.
Devils, cease, and do not poison the air with these sounds of malice. I have made clear my resolution to you, and I am no coward to bend beneath words. Leave me. I am inexorable.
It is well. I go. But beware. I shall be with you on your wedding night.
Villain! Before you sign my death warrant, be sure that you yourself are safe. I will be with you on your wedding night. That then is the period fixed for the fulfillment of my destiny. I will not fall before my enemy without a bitter struggle. My friends, would you be so kind as to inform me as to the name of this town and tell me where I am?
You will know that soon enough. Maybe you are come to a place that will not prove much to your taste, but you will not be consulted as to your quarters, I promise you.
Why do you answer me so roughly? Surely it is not the custom of Englishmen to receive visitors so inhospitably.
I don't know what the custom of the English may be, but it is the custom of the Irish to hate villains. Come, sir. You must follow Mr. Kerwin, where you are to give an account of yourself.
Who is Mr. Kerwin? Why am I to give an account of myself? Is not this a free country?
Aye, sir, free enough. For honest folk, Mr. Kerwin is a magistrate, and you are to give an account of the death of a gentleman who was found murdered here last night. A young man, about 25 years of age.
My murderous machinations brought convulsive, my dearest Henry of life. Two I have already destroyed, but you live all, my friend.
Indeed, I did not dream. I am sorry that I am still alive to feel this horror.
If you mean about the gentleman you murdered, I believe it were better for you if you were dead, for I fancy it will go hard with you. However, that's none of my business. I do my duty with a safe conscience. It were well if everybody did the same.
I fear that this place is very shocking for you. Is there anything I can do to make you more comfortable?
Thank you. But all that you mention is nothing to me. On the whole earth there is no comfort I am capable of receiving.
I know the sympathy of a stranger is but of little relief to one with so strange a misfortune, but you will, soon I hope, quit this melancholy abode. For doubtless evidence can easily be brought forward to help you in this criminal charge.
It is my least concern. I am, by a course of strange events, become the most miserable of mortals.
Nothing indeed can be more fortunate than these strange chances that have lately occurred. You were, by some strange accident, thrown upon our shores, renowned for the hospitality, seized immediately and charged with murder. The first sight that looked into your eyes was the body of your friend, murdered in so unaccountable a manner. Found several letters on your person, one of which I discovered to be from your father. I wrote instantly to Geneva, you are ill. Even now you tremble. You are unfit for agitation of any kind.
This suspense is 1,000 times worse than the most horrible event. Tell me what new scene of death has been enacted, and whose murder I am now to lament.
Your family is unharmed, and someone, a friend, has come to visit you.
Take him away! For heaven's sake! I cannot see you! Do not let him enter!
I should have thought, young man, that the presence of your father would be welcome instead of inspiring such a violent repugnance.
My father! Is my father indeed come? How kind! How very kind! Where is he? Why does he not hasten himself to me? Are you then safe, and Elizabeth, and Ernest?
What a place is this that you inhabit, my son? You travel to seek happiness, but a fatality seems to pursue you. Work of all.
Alas, yes, my father. The destiny, the most horrible kind hangs over me, and I must live to fulfill it, or I surely should have died on the coffin of Henry.
I have given myself every charge for every care for gathering witnesses and arranging your defense. The grand jury has rejected the bill on it being proven that you were on the Orkney Islands the night that your friend's body was found.
I think you feel too deeply the degradation of being obliged to answer a charge of murder. Remember the futility and pride in such cases.
Alas, my father, how little do you know me. Human beings would indeed be degraded if such a wretch as I felt pride. Poor, unhappy Justine, she was as innocent as I. She suffered the same charge, and she died for it. I am the cause of this. William, Justine, and Henry, they all died by my hands.
My son, what infatuation is this? I entreat you never make such an assertion again.
I am not mad. I am the assassin of these most innocent victims. 1,000 times would I have shed my own blood, drop by drop, to have saved their lives, but I could not, my father. Indeed, I could not sacrifice the whole human race.
Let us talk of Geneva. You should soon visit Elizabeth and Ernest.
Yes, I mean to immediately go to Geneva, there to watch over the lives of those whom I so fondly love. There to lie in wait for the murderer.
I still desire to delay our departure, because I am fearful you cannot sustain the fatigue of the journey. Your strength is gone, and fever preys on you.
I repassed in my memory my whole life, my quiet happiness with my family in Geneva, the death of my mother, and my departure for Ingolstadt. The fiend was not here. A sense of security reached me, and a feeling that a truce was established between the present hour and the irresistible.
My dearest friend, I may hope to see you in less than a fortnight. How much you must have suffered. I expect to see you looking even more ill than when you quitted Geneva. And yet, I dare not postpone writing what I have often wished to express to you, but did not have the courage to begin. You well know, Victor, that our union has been the favorite plan of your parents since our infancy. I conjure you, by our mutual happiness, with the simple truth that I love you, and in my airy dreams of futurity, you have been my constant companion. But it is your happiness I desire as well. Be happy, my friend. Your father will send me news of your health, and if I see but one smile on your lips when we meet, I should need no other happiness. Elizabeth Lavenza.
Sweet Elizabeth. If the monster executes his threat, death is inevitable. I will die to make her happy. I fear, my beloved girl, little happiness remains for us on earth. Yet all that I may one day enjoy is centered in you. Chase away your idle fears. To you alone do I consecrate my life. I have one secret, Elizabeth, a dreadful one. When revealed to you, it will chill your frame with horror. I will confide this tale to you the day after our marriage shall take place.
Have you then some other attachments?
No. I love Elizabeth and look forward to our union with delight. Let the day therefore be fixed, and on it I will consecrate myself in life or death to our happiness.
Victor, do not speak thus. Heavy misfortunes have befallen us, but let us only cling closer to what remains.
These were the last moments in my life during which I enjoyed the feeling of happiness. You are sorrowful, my love. Ah, if you knew what I had suffered, you would endeavor to let me taste the quiet that this one day at least permits me to enjoy.
Be happy, my dear Victor. There is, I hope, nothing to distress you. And be assured that a lively joy is not painted on my face. My heart is contented. Something whispers to me not to put too much hope in the prospect that lies open before us. But I shall not listen to such a sinister voice. What a divine day. How serene all nature appears. What is it that agitates you? My dear Victor, what is it you fear?
Peace, my love. This night and all will be safe, but this night is dreadful, very dreadful. I entreat you to retire. There is no trace of him. Could it be that some fortunate chance has intervened? incidents that followed this last event. Mine has been a tale of horrors. I have reached their acme. What I can now relate can be but tedious to you. Know that one by one, my friends were snatched away. I was left desolate. When I returned to Geneva, my father and Ernest yet lived, but the former sunk under the tidings of the war. He could not live under the horrors that accumulated around him, and he died in my arms.
By the sacred earth on which I kneel, by the shades that wander near me, I swear to pursue the demon who caused this misery until he or I shall perish in mortal conflict. And I call on you, spirits of the dead, to aid and conduct me in my work.
I am satisfied, miserable wretch. You have determined to live, and I am satisfied. My reign is not yet over. Follow me! I seek the everlasting ices of the north, where you will feel the misery of cold and frost, to which I am impassive. Come on, my enemy! We have yet to wrestle for our lives, but many miserable hours must you endure until that period shall arrive.
Scoffing devil!
Prepare! Your toils only begin. Wrap yourself in furs and provide food, for we shall soon enter upon a journey where your sufferings will satisfy my hatred.
I pursued him. For many months this has been my task. I know not how many days have passed since then. It took me on board when my vigor was exhausted, and I should soon have sunk into a death which I now still dread. For my task is unfulfilled.
Must I die and ye yet live? If I do, swear it, Revolt, that you will seek him and satisfy my vengeance in his death. He is eloquent and persuasive, but trust him not. I have heard your terrific story, and feel my blood congeal with horror. Your tale is told with the appearance of simplest truth. Such a monster has then really existence? I cannot doubt it. Yet, I'm lost in admiration. How would endeavor to gain the particulars of this creature's formation?
Are you mad, my friend, or whither does your senseless curiosity lead you?
Would you create for yourself a demoniacal enemy? Peace. Peace. Learn my miseries and seek not to increase your own. We're still surrounded by mountains of ice. Still in imminent danger of being crushed in their conflict. The cold is excessive. Many of my unfortunate comrades have found their grave is the scene of desolation.
When younger, I too believed myself destined for some great enterprise. But now that thought only serves to plunge me lower into dust.
I have been chosen by the other sailors to come in deputation to you to make me a requisition which you cannot refuse. We are immured in ice, and should probably never escape. But we fear that if a free passage should be opened, you should be rash enough to continue your voyage and lead us into fresh danger. We insist, therefore, that you engage with a solemn promise that if the vessel be freed, you will instantly direct your course southwards.
What do you mean? What do you demand of your captain? Are you then so easily turned from your design? Did you not call this a glorious expedition? You were hereafter to be hailed as the benefactors of your species, your names adored as belonging to brave men who encounter death for honor and the benefit of mankind. Oh, be men, or be more than men. This ice is not made of such stuff as your hearts may be. It is mutable and cannot withstand you. If you say it, it shall not. I will not lead you farther north. die is cast. I consider to return if we are not destroyed.
Do you then really return?
Lass, yes. I cannot withstand their demands. I cannot lead them unwillingly into danger, and I must return.
Do so if you will. But I cannot. You may give up your purpose. Mine is assigned to me by heaven, and I dare not. I am weak, but surely the spirits who assist my vengeance will endow me with sufficient strength. Alas, the strength I relied on is gone. I feel that I shall soon die, and that he, my enemy and persecutor, is still in being.
I feel that I have gained you only to know your value and lose you. I would reconcile you to life.
I thank you for your sympathy, for so miserable a wretch. Think not, Walton, that in these last moments of my existence, I still feel that burning hatred which I once expressed. In a fit of enthusiastic madness, I created a rational creature and was bound towards him to assure his happiness. This was my duty. He showed unparalleled evil. He destroyed my friends. He ought to die. Yet, I dare not ask you to do what I think right, for I may still be misled by passion. The thorns of the beloved did flit before me. Walton, seek happiness in tranquility and avoid ambition. Yet why do I say this? I have myself been blasted in these hopes, yet another may succeed.
The ice began to move. Thus are my hopes blasted by cowards. I come back ignorant and disappointed. It is bad. I'm returning to England. I lost all my hopes of glory. Lost a friend. Please! Say!
That is also my victim. In his murder, my crimes are consummated. O Frankenstein, what does it avail that I now ask thee to pardon me? I, who irretrievably destroyed thee by destroying all thou lovest. Alas, he is cold. He cannot answer me.
Your repentance is now superfluous.
Do you think that I was then dead to remorse? Think you that the groans of Clermont were music to my ears? I knew that I was preparing for myself a deadly torture, but I was the slave of an impulse which I detested and yet could not disobey. Yet when she died, nay, then I was not miserable. I had cast off all feeling to riot in the excess of my despair. Evil thenceforth became my good. The completion of my demoniacal design became an insatiable passion. And now it is ended. And there is my last.
It is well that you come to whine here over the desolation that you have made. You throw a torch into a pile of buildings. And when they are consumed, you sit among the ruins and lament the fall. Hypocritical fiend. He whom you mourn still lives. Again, when you become the prey of your accursed vengeance. It's not pity that you feel. You
lamenting because the victim of your malignity is withdrawn from your power.
It is not thus. It is not thus. Yet I seek not a fellow feeling in my misery. I cannot believe that I am the same creature whose thoughts were once filled with sublime visions of goodness. But it is even so. The fallen angel becomes the malignant devil. Am I to be thought the only criminal when all humankind sinned against me? Nay, these are virtuous beings, I, the abandoned, am to be trampled on. Even now, my blood boils at the recollection of this injustice. But it is true that I am a wretch. I have murdered the lovely and the helpless. You hate me, but your abhorrence cannot equal that with which I regard myself. Farewell, Frankenstein. If thou wert yet alive and cherished the desire of revenge against me, it would be better satiated in my life than in mine. For the bitter sting of remorse will not cease to rankle in my wounds until death shall close them forever. Fear not that I shall be the instrument of any future mischief. I shall collect my funeral pile and consume to ashes this miserable frame. My spirit will sleep in peace. And if it thinks, it will not surely think thus. Farewell.
Left in the ice crack. He said this